What's going on, YouTube? Today I bring you my Week 1 predictions for the 2021 NFL season. We're getting these out kind of late. You know, that's been the norm usually, but we're getting it out before the game starts, so that's good. Let's hop straight into it. So starting off with our Thursday night football matchup, the Buccaneers and Cowboys, happening in about 30 minutes. Yeah, I think the Buccaneers win this one. It's going to be a high-scoring game. You know, the Cowboys will put up a decent amount of points. I think we might see a little bit of issues with Dak, you know, coming back from his injury. He may not be fully healthy just yet. But I do think the Buccaneers cover the spread. So, yeah, I mean, I think the Buccaneers just obviously the better team in this game, and I expect a win from them tonight. Seahawks at the Colts for some Sunday morning football. Got the Good Morning Football logo down there for that. Seattle 2.5 favorites, and I've got them covering a little bit more than that. I think that the Colts defense will be able to relatively keep the Seahawks in check, but I still have them putting up 30 points. I don't think Carson Wentz is going to be able to get going, even against, you know, not a very good Seahawks defense. I just have a feeling that the Colts are going to start out pretty weak this season, and I feel like the Seahawks are going to start out pretty strong, and so I have the Seahawks winning 30-17. Jaguars at the Texans. This is one of the tougher games to pick because neither one's very good. A division game, obviously. Jacksonville is favored by 2.5 points. I think the Jaguars win this pretty convincingly, to be honest. I've already talked about how the Texans have just such a horrible roster. I just don't expect them to put up much competition. I think Trevor Lawrence is going to look great in his debut as a Jaguar. The Texans literally just traded away Bradley Roby, so Desmond King is pretty much the only good corner on that secondary right now. And even then, he's a slot mainly, so he's not playing really outside much for you. I think Jacksonville wins this one pretty convincingly. I think Trevor Lawrence again looks great, and I think the defense will be playing pretty good against just a very, very poor Texans team. So I have them winning 24-10. Eagles at the Falcons, also another tough game just because these are two very bad teams. Ultimately, I have the Falcons beating the Eagles. The Falcons just have such a great offense. And, you know, the Eagles' defense is not the worst in the league, but they are still kind of in that bottom tier a bit. To where similar to the Seahawks and the Colts, I feel like somewhat the Eagles will be able to keep the Falcons in check, but I think the Eagles offense is going to look pretty poor, and the only reason they're really scoring 2 touchdowns is because the Falcons defense is really bad, but I still think the Falcons win this one pretty well and cover their spread of 3.5 points. Yeah, and also something weird that just happened this week is I have every team covering their spread. Every team that's favored to win, I have winning. That's just kind of how it played out. But so moving on, Chargers at Washington. This is going to be a grueling game. You see the little star up there next to Week 1, and this is my game of the week. I think this is going to be a hard-fought battle full of offense and defense. You're going to see 2 second-year guys with Chase Young and Justin Herbert go at it. The offensive rookie of the year versus the defensive rookie of the year. LAC is favored by 1 point, and I do have them spreading because, you know, it's kind of hard to win by less than a point. Some might say impossible because it is. 27-24, though, at the end of the day, I could see this game going either way. But, yeah, either way, I think this is going to be the game of the week. This is going to be a hard-fought game with the Chargers just slightly pulling it out over Washington. Then the Steelers at the Bills. For me, this one, you know, the score doesn't really replicate how much I think the Bills will dominate this game. I feel like the Steelers might be able to get a couple garbage time touchdowns maybe. But, you know, I just think the Bills, obviously the better team. Their offensive line is not bad enough for it to get to Josh Allen that harshly. Again, it will keep them in check, you know, only at 27 points for such a scary offense. But to me, I just don't think the Steelers' offense is good enough to keep up with the Bills. Even though the Steelers' defense is better, I just feel, to me, especially at home, I think Bills take Week 1 from the Steelers and cover their spread of 6.5 points. Moving on, 49ers at the Lions. This is going to be a blowout. The 49ers have a healthy team, still a scary defense, still a pretty good offense. The Lions have none of that. I really don't care if they're at home. I think the Lions are going to get blown out, and I'd be surprised if they score a touchdown, to be honest. I think the 49ers are going to establish themselves back into the spotlight after this game and covering their spread of 7.5 points by a large margin. Vikings heading over to Cincinnati. I mean, I think Cincy might put up a bit of a fight early on, but really, I just see the Vikings taking over this game. There's a lot of guys coming back from injury and stuff, and I think this could be a game where maybe the Vikings start out a little slow. Maybe the Bengals are ready to surprise some people. But then I think, second half Minnesota really takes over, and that offense comes alive. The defense returns to its form, and they end up beating the Bengals by a pretty large margin as well. 14 points, not super large, but, that is a pretty dominant win there for the Vikings. So I think they will take week 1. Then the Jets heading over to the Panthers. Sam Darnold, his game against his former team, not really a revenge game since, there's no one for him to really get revenge for or from, really, except for himself and the organization, who doesn't even have the same GM or coach anymore. I have the Panthers taking this one in, a single score. I don't think this will necessarily be a good game. I think, the Jets, I think, have a bit more of an explosive offense than maybe the Panthers are preparing for. The Panthers do have a good defense, but A.J. Boye is out. I don't expect J.C. Horn to keep up his same play in the regular season. And the Jets, they're going to let up points because they have no one at cornerback and they've had a few injuries. So I think the Jets will be able to stay in the game because they are going to have an unexpectedly explosive offense. But I still do have the Panthers taking this game, not quite covering their spread. I'm not sure why they have such a big spread. I don't view them as that much better than the Jets week 1. I don't view them as being better than the Jets through the whole season, as you can see by the projected records there. But I do have them taking week 1. And then moving on, the Cardinals going over to the Titans. Titans are a 3-point favorite, and I have them covering the spread. I think this is also going to be a very good game as well. I ended up going with the Chargers in Washington just because I think that'll be a bit better. But this is going to be a good offensive game. Kyler Murray and DeAndre Hopkins are going to be dominating the Titans defense, and I think, Tannehill, Henry, Brown, Julio, they're also going to tear up that Cardinals defense, who has no corners. And ultimately, that's what gave them the win for me, was just the fact that I think both of these defense are underrated, but at least the Titans have some people at corner. The Cardinals have no one. Byron Murphy hasn't been really what you'd been hoping, and he's not. He's still one of the league's worst number 1 corners. So at the end of the day, I think it'll be a hard-fought battle. Great game, great offensive game, and the defense, maybe gets a bit more competitive towards the end, but I have the Titans pulling it out over Arizona week 1. And then moving on to our first Sunday, game, not morning, but just, a regular game on a Sunday afternoon. Cleveland going over to Kansas City. This is also going to be a fantastic game. I don't think the score is going to show as much as how good a game is going to really be. Now, like I said earlier, I have all of my picks are the teams who are the favorites, but if there was a game for you to bet on, I would personally bet on the Chiefs-Browns, just because, although I don't think the Browns are going to win, KC being 6.5 favorites is, I think, a little bit underrating the Browns, and there is a decent chance the Browns come in here and take that game. I'm not saying put a big bet or anything, but if there was a bet where you wanted to take a little bit of, high risk, high reward, it would be this game. At the score there, again, I don't think that'll represent it. I think the Chiefs will be relatively held in check for the most part at 33 points. And I think the Browns are good. I just don't think their offense, even though it's going to be deadly, is going to be able to keep up with the Chiefs' elite passing attack. And while the Browns' defense is better than the Chiefs' defense is not bad. And so I just think week 1, Mahomes and Reed are pissed off after losing the Super Bowl. I like the Browns. I would really love to see them win, but I have the Chiefs winning it here. And although it looks like, it's a decent margin, 10 points, I don't think it's going to be representative of how tough the Browns play, but I do have the Chiefs winning this game, and this is my betting pick of the week, although I just, again, don't take it with a grain of salt. Then New England heading over to Foxborough, and Foxborough 2.5 point favorites. I have them covering. Like I said, I expect a bit of regression from the Dolphins this year, and I think going in week one to Foxborough to play Belichick and that revamped Patriots team, just not a good or easy start for the Dolphins. I think Tua's going to look pretty poor. You don't have Fitzmagic to bring him in and bench Tua now. I think Mac Jones is going to look decently good. I mean, obviously they put up a good amount of points, even though that Dolphins defense is pretty good. I don't think it'll be quite as good as last year. Xavier Howard's just not going to get 10 picks again. He should still be great. But either way, I just think that's really tough to go in there week one, especially when I already feel like they're just being a little bit overrated and will regress in the first place. Foxborough week one is not a good way to start it. So I have the Patriots taking it 27-16. Then the Broncos heading over to New York. The Broncos are a historically good week one team. In fact, the last 3 years have been quite the anomaly. The Broncos have lost their week one games 3 years in a row now, I believe, which is very strange for them. I think they kind of, take back what's just not normal for them. I think it'll be a close fought game. Two offenses that will probably struggle for the most part, but be able to find those scoring opportunities because they can hit those big plays every now and then. I think the Giants defense, I just think the Broncos defense is a bit better than the Giants, and personally, I'm taking the Broncos offense over the Giants offense. I wouldn't hate you for saying the other way because, neither of their offenses are particularly good due to their quarterbacks. Otherwise, their offenses are great. I mean, the Giants offensive line is unarguably worse than the Broncos. But yeah, I think all those considered, it'll be a tough, hard-fought game, but I think the Broncos are good enough to come in and take a win here in week one. Then the Packers going over to New Orleans. Not quite sure where the Saints are playing. I think I remember seeing something about they were playing in, I want to say it was Texas A&M Stadium, but that's probably wrong. Either way, the Saints don't really have a home field advantage here. I'm sure there'll still be some Saints fans there if they're even allowing fans, but I just, with the stuff of Ida, Saints players and, of course, there's people that lives there in New Orleans. They're being harshly affected by that right now. They're not in their own stadium. The Packers, I've already talked about, their kind of mentality coming into the season. It's deadly. They're the better team all around with all the stuff going on. I think the Saints will still put up a good game. From moving on from Drew Brees and stuff. But at the end of the day, I still have the Packers winning by 2 scores. So, yeah, I mean, I just don't see it as highly possible for the Saints. Again, I think it'll be a good game, but I have the Packers winning. And then for our Sunday night football game this week, Rams are 7-point favorites over the Bears. I think this is going to be a blowout. 9-35. It's just I don't see the Bears getting anything going this week. If it's Andy Dalton, cool. He's got to play Jalen Ramsey and Aaron Donald. If it's Justin Fields for some reason, let's say Dalton sucks and they throw in Jimmy. God, I can't remember. I am sputtering right now. Let's say Andy Dalton sucks and they throw in Justin Fields. That's even worse because now you're putting a rookie who struggled at times in preseason against Aaron Donald and Jalen Ramsey. Not a good idea. Being that it's also, the Rams' first game in their new stadium with the fans there, at home. Just, unarguably being the better team. They've also got a deadly offense. I've said I think Matt Stafford's going to be fantastic. The Bears have no corners. I don't think quarterback's going to be very good for them going in. I see the Rams dominating the Bears in this game and winning and definitely covering their spread. And then for the last game of the week, Monday Night Football, Baltimore heading into Las Vegas. First game in Las Vegas with fans for the Raiders. I don't think it ends up mattering that much. Baltimore 4.5 favorites cover it, winning 30-20. I think that the Raiders will be able to go in pretty well. Now, the Ravens, they just lost Marcus Peters to an ACL tear, and they also just lost Gus Edwards to an ACL tear after losing J.K. Dobbins and Justice Hill to ACL tears. The Ravens are kind of hurting on their ACLs right now. Their running back room is depleted, except they added Le'Veon Bell and Devontae Freeman. They're on the practice squad right now, so I don't know if they'll be playing week one. Either way, you got Lamar, so running back is not the biggest concern in the world. Losing Marcus Peters does hurt. I don't think it matters that much against the Raiders, who can be explosive, but they've still got, one of the better duos in the NFL with Humphrey and Smith. Um, their defense still great, their offense still great. Raiders, I've talked about, the offensive line is a concern for me. The defense, I still don't think is going to be that good. I think they'll put up a fair enough fight, but for the most part be pretty handled by the Ravens, who will take a win in week 1. But that is my week 1 predictions. Thanks for watching. If you liked the video, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. I can't talk today. Hit the notification bell so you never miss an upload. Catch these, weekly predictions every week. I'll be keeping track of my records for every team and my overall record. You guys can laugh at me when I get a pick wrong, and so you can be right. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.